Oh, I should have brought the glue down. Yeah, probably next time. Next time will be satisfactory. Uh, okay, so that's taken care of. It's also taken care of. Yeah, we're good. Hey, Art. Listen up, Rangers. Welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve. I guess we're gonna angle it at me. Zillow? Zillow, okay. I'm like, isn't that the the house website? Pretty sure I was on there when I was looking for getting my home. Articulated Zilla. You're probably either kind of what we're doing here. You have to find somebody to actually work on one, or Arctic Figures. I know you can buy a 3D file. So if you have a 3D printer, know somebody with a 3D printer. Cough, cough, wink, wink. You know. They can print it for you. Just gotta make sure you buy the file first. Alright, you guys can see me. Crazy, I know. Anyways, want to give you guys a quick little update. I know it didn't say anything about it, but I've been pretty pumped about working on this little guy. So currently, with the critter puppet, it has some teeth now. I got a bunch more teeth to still do on this thing. Then I mucked up as I technically should have done the teeth on the inside first and then saved the outside for the last. But I was just impatient. I'm going to make my life a lot harder. But I'm going to be applying a bunch of latex on the inside and adding the teeth afterwards, I think. Kind of like what I'm doing here. So I'll probably get it kind of detailed, glue the teeth in, do one more shot of latex just to kind of fill in gaps. And then that will be done. So hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to mess around with it a little bit more. But get my hand here. Rawr. Bitchin'. Starting to look legit. Still don't know if I want to keep it bald. I'm debating. I'm really on the fence on it because it's like it'd be like right there. I'd have to clean it up better, to be fair. Tommy just looks like right Donald Trump. Good times. With his little toupee. Yeah, we might be cute. Because it's definitely going to be when I get this guy together, we're going to be using a lot of hairspray. Not as wide as I probably need to, but it's like I could get about here with my hand position. I might be able to get my hand in there a little better if I apply some pressure to the head. That's about as far as I can get. I don't get much movement with the lower jaw. It's pretty much all upper jaw. But not bad. Still get some biting action. Tortoise named Gamera. Good name. Solid name. I was hoping to get some more work done today, but I pretty much decided to do a bunch of housework today. So that's in case I didn't take much of a nap. And then I was kind of annoyed because my city sucks. And I guess they have an issue of tax returns, so I gotta deal with that. It's like ever since I moved into the city, won't say where I'm at, but moved into my city. I used to live out in the countryside. Moved into the city, and it's not like anything monetarily has changed in my life. Like I've still been doing YouTube, all my stuff, and it seems like every other year they always have some kind of problem now since I've been living in town. Just like, Yeah, that's true. Well, it's also like different. Like each iteration of the Krites, they're different too. If I want to try to keep it close to Critters 2, it looks like the teeth are kind of bunched together pretty close. And then it's got a lot of mouth. But some of them don't really have tons. From what I could tell from the bald Krite, he has a ton. So it should just be like row of teeth, row of teeth, row of teeth, and then the two up top. Just to kind of get the look. I definitely at least have to have one more row. It doesn't have to be as big, mind you. Because thankfully the other rows, they're not as thick either, so it's like I can have some spacing between the teeth so they're not as bunched together. Because currently he's going to have a little bit over probably 100 teeth just on the front. And then I'll have to do the rest afterwards. Yeah, it's pretty much like they have a lot on the roof, and then if I remember correctly, I actually started watching the first movie Critters just to kind of in the mood to watch it now because of all this. But from pictures, it looks like because they have tons, so it doesn't have nearly as much teeth on the lower section because you can see that there's like it's got a more of a bunched up effect than some of the other critters. I'm gonna have to look at it again. I'm just staring like at the same like 5 photos working on this guy. Cause show you guys. Cause Tom Spina Designs actually got the actual prop. So they restored it. So I've been looking at this thing a lot. Which isn't quite correct for how the movie looks. Looks like they went like a bit like it definitely doesn't have like all the hair and everything. But been working on that. This has kind of been like my go-to reference. You can see, I know it's got stuff in his mouth, but it doesn't have nearly as like many teeth hanging out there. And then it's got like the separate sections. Yeah, like just to get a better shot. Like these are also from the second movie. If it'll focus. But you can see they definitely have 2 rows. I would venture 3. And then, like you're saying, there's not much on the bottom because of the ton. First movie critters have a lot more rows. It's the same with like the third movie critters. It's pretty much like row, space, row, space, row. Similar to the first movie, but the first movie critters are actually kind of small in comparison. And the way their head's kind of shaped. So you can kind of go either way. But anyways, I only got like 40-ish minutes. Random tags and everything hanging out. I got so much random crap. Ugh. I gotta adjust my thing. My guy's going off just by messing around with things. Little spitter in the corner. I'm gonna mix some epoxy putty. It's even been interesting to do on the Krite though, because the way I had to do it is I made the teeth, and then I realized after like trying to set them up, I made them to me it seemed like they were small, and I probably should have made them bigger. And then after getting done with a bunch of them, realized I made them too big. I used some of them for the front teeth, but because the lower teeth tend to be a lot bigger than the other ones, The only people that have gotten it that I'm aware of are like the people that like literally live in the general vicinity of China. They were able to get it quick. The rest of us are still waiting. Like, I think Calcus is shipping them now, but I haven't seen them. So I know the Ghidorah is shipping, but I haven't seen really anybody have it yet. I don't know why I closed that. Oh, we're all good. Thankfully, I was at the right size anyways, so we're all peachy clean over here. I'm just excited to have the Shima. I think the thing with the 91 Godzilla is I'm the least bit excited for that one. Like, not as much as like the Shima or even the evolved Godzilla, because I don't have one in my collection currently. So just waiting on the high, waiting on the high. Well, what the show is, it's like the Ghidorah. I'm probably more excited about the Ghidorah, but not like frothing with anticipation, because I already have a bunch of Heisei Ghidorahs. So like, what's another one? But it does look good, so I'm pretty stoked. 91 Godzilla, on the other hand, the head looks kind of ugly. Not gonna lie. Definitely looks a bit distorted to me. Get some nice kneading. This thing looks about good. I'm not seeing, because you want to keep going until you don't see any more swirls in the epoxy putty. It's kind of what you're trying to avoid. Also, probably should turn on my other light just so it's a little bit brighter for you guys. That's looking pretty good. And next, we're going to be working on the head. Oh, we've done that before. It's on the channel. We did one that was it's like the Zilla that we use for the action figure stuff, for like the CV toy rooms or whatever. It's the exact same Zilla. Oh, I'm just realizing I didn't sand this part. It's probably fine. Is it gonna be too thick? It might be a little too thick. Okay, I gotta Dremel this part real quick. Which I hope this has enough battery in it, because I think it was dying on me the other day. So we will see. I'm not optimistic though. I mixed up my trays. I think I mixed up my trays. So I really don't have to plug in my plug-in Dremel, because then I gotta unplug the laptop, which is fine, but I just gotta remember to plug it back in after the fact. Yeah, we've done animated colors for the Trapmaster, and then I've also done them for the Arctic Figures Zilla. We've done a few in that paint style for that one. Honestly, with that one, I'm surprised I haven't done have people wanting more paint jobs for those with like actual Trendmaster colors. I think I've only done like one with like legit Trendmasters. Oh, listen. Oh, this good. Yeah, this thing is so bad. It's like killed me. And that might be good enough to get a some proper covers now. Oh, watching me on the big TV? That's fancy. I remember back in the day, that's how I used to watch. Like, I had my computer hooked up to like our big TV in my office. We would watch stuff that way back in the day. Before the advent of Roku being way more accessible. Yeah, it is very Baja Blasty, isn't it? The way the color scheme is for it. Yeah. I don't want to put a lot of epoxy putty on here. It's just kind of like enough to get some coverage, and I could add some little bit of detail to it. So they're coloring upstairs, and Casey does not like to share. It's not her thing. I can see the audio spiking for it. But like I said, gonna be applying all this. Mecca would be sweet. The only thing with like a lot of these commissions I do is they're commissions. So, they're whatever people are paying me to do. So like this one, it's actually already been paid for. Usually I'd wait till afterwards, but they just sent me the money, so I ain't complaining. A little bit of wetness, so I can kind of smooth this in with the plates here. Are you talking about like specifically what I'm doing here? Like if buy one that I make, or just this vinyl in general? The vinyl in general was a Godzilla store exclusive, so you'd have to buy it from pretty much eBay now. So you're asking like to buy like one of these fully pulsable, right? Like what I'm doing here. Because this one specifically was through my Etsy. So they contacted me on my Etsy. Were like, "Hey, can you make a pulsable one of these?" Actually, I lied. Instagram. That's where they got hold of me. Both are viable options. Got a hold of me. Let me know what they wanted, and then we just worked on it from there. Where's the neck? I kind of gotta follow both of these patterns to see what I'm doing. Because granted, a lot of this is going to be kind of covered up, but I want it to look similar to what the detailing on the body. So right now I'm just adding the little creases and just kind of following along with the details a little bit. This one, I'll be honest, I probably undercharged a little bit. But something like this, usually custom figures, because I do like working on these, but one thing with my charge is I tend to undervet charge, but I also don't have a timeline when these will get done. Like they get done when they get done, because it's all just based on when I get time to work on these things. So that being said, this one here was 150. Oh no, sorry. It was 170? 170 was this one. And it also didn't include the cost of the joints on here. Plus, I needed the base figure too to work on. But I provided the extra little body bits. Like you see, the limbs here is from a random Goku I had hanging around. Oh god, Casey is upsetty boots. She's also been climbing quite a bit. Jeez. Also, kind of one thing is, I don't know if it's just like Casey's age or whatnot, but she just does not like listening to my wife at all. So half the time, I usually got to go up there to kind of deal with things. I kind of got the initial shapes cut out. Now I'm just kind of adding a little bit of detail here and there. Might have to mute this for a second and go upstairs and see what the heck's going on. She's being a little crinkers. Grant, she didn't have a very good nap today, so I'm going to blame mostly that on that. Because usually when she doesn't get too much of a nap, she, especially like 8 o'clock, it is. Little Casey unruly time. Okay, like I mentioned, don't have to go too crazy with the detailing because, like I said, a lot of this is going to get hidden anyways with the joints being covered up. The other problem too is there's this little, particularly with the head, there's a bit of a scaling effect going on. You'll kind of see it here where it's got like the little ball divot scales at the top there. I'm pretty much forgoing doing those. I've already tried to do it a couple of times on this thing, but it just doesn't come out quite right. So I'm just lightly dabbing with the back of my knife because Zilla's got a bit of like a crisscross like skin pattern going on. On the top. So pretty much there you go. A little bit of texturing and just kind of keep the detail going, but for the most part, it's going to be the rest of the head. I maybe could try to add the little circles, but I don't have anything like up here to really. Oh, actually, I got my little. Don't I? Somewhere. Might be able to add some in with this. Not the easiest thing to pull off. Pretty much just using it to kind of flex in some areas. Sort of like that. So I would say if you're generally looking to get a custom done by me, if it's something in this same vein, you're looking generally at about like 150 ish on average. Oh, I just made these ones so much bigger than they needed to be. Oh, I need this part to kind of look flat again. So we have to redo this section real quick. Which is fine. A little bit of pressure from the back of the blade, just a little bit extra detail here and there. Then we got sides pretty much all wrapped up. The undersection, however, I kind of want to try to replicate the way the undersection here is just starting on the neck. I think I had, at least I thought I had a little smaller ball set down here. I also might be able to get away with just using this thing, but it's one of those is like trial and error. Just to squish some of this together just to get the detailing. Especially when working at epoxy putty, it's a lot of the time you're trying to do things relatively quickly because once it starts curing, you're kind of done. So trying to use ways to just kind of like cheat, get detailing done a little bit faster. I think that pretty well does it. And then just the little sections around the neck here. Because this part's going to be attached into here, so I can't really add any of the little bumps here with the fear of it just breaking off. On that section, I could probably add a couple actually now that I look at it. Casey is not in the mood for any of Jessica's crap tonight. Anyways, how's everybody else doing today? It's just been kind of one of those days. Also, I found out today that I guess my doctor that I was supposed to be going to see in like a week isn't practicing anymore. Also, how did hair get on that? Moving on. So I gotta see if I can still get in. Okay, separate these a little bit. Smooth it back in a little bit. I try to make them a little thicker, not super pointed, just so that if they do rub, it's not going to right off. Sort of like this. Like I said, nothing crazy. So, like I said, the sharper you make it, and having more of like a pointed edge, it's more likely to snap off or damage. So, like I said, I tend to make them a little bit more squared off when doing this one. But you can kind of see what I'm going with this section here. That looks pretty good. Now we just need to Oh yeah, I was gonna add some epoxy around the top of the jaw. That was a thing we were gonna do. Oh, that's gonna be a nightmare. Totally forgot about that. So, right around there. Yeah, you can always message me on like the Etsy, the Instagram. Either works. She is the crankiest. But then the worst is she's going to grandma's tonight. So it's normally if she starts getting like this, it would just be like, you're going to bed. I'm going to bed a little early. She is not cooperating at all. Jeez, cranky. Oh, yeah, we'll probably have to cut this short. We're going to try to get this done real quick, and then I'll. Oh, real quick. Okay, I think she calmed down a bit. So add a little bit of detailing in here. Just to kind of complete the jawline. And like I said, a lot of this when you're sculpting is you're just kind of following grooves. To make it work. Now, see if I can pop the ball joint in real quick just to test it. Without, it might be easier something done. It's like we could pop this in, maybe make sure I got the right sizing. Oop. Try that one more time. Yeah, it's not gonna be able to pop in. But anyways, you get the gist. Rounded out the mouth a bit. So then there's not as much of a gap for the jaw. Now I don't know where I'm sticking this or how I'm sticking this. Nope. I guess that'll work. It's not touching anything that way. I'll just put those hard drives you handing out up there. Alright, is there anything else I had to apply some sculpting to? That stuff's fine. I think that was... So I technically got the back leg here, but I don't really want to add anymore. It'd pretty much be just adding just the sculpt. I guess we can do real quick. So I'm just applying a bunch of epoxy putty and just move it a little bit here and there. So I gotta make sure I don't leave enough on here to seize this joint up. Because the game plan is try to hide this joint as much as humanly possible. Add that to it, and then just kind of same thing. Just adding, doing some straight lines, but just doing them at different angles. I'm trying not to apply too much pressure so it doesn't leave too deep of an impression. That being said, I'm being relatively unsuccessful at it. But one nice thing you can do with this stuff is I just take one of these little cheapy brushes and get a little bit of water on them. Preferably one without hair all over it. And then you just lightly brush some water on it. And that'll help to remove some excess cuts and smooth it out a little bit. You can also dab with your finger a little bit to remove some, but it'll drastically remove some when you do that. Which is like that. Just add a little bit of detail to it, so it kind of makes it look like it's meant to be there. The same thing to the other side here. Just apply a bit on here. Get your finger wet. And just smear it around in the crevices. Because you can also follow the edge of the cut here too to clean up some sections. Actually, I kind of want that back in there because I'm just seeing that there's a little space right there that I'd really like to fill in. Hopefully it won't come into conflict with the joint here. No, this one actually is going to have like its own paint job. If anything, it'll be closer to like the original Treadmaster in colors than the actual movie one. The same thing. Just using the back of the knife to make my skin detail. And you just go different angles. So it's not super uniform looking. Take our brush. Brush off some of the excess. There you go. What animated series though was 50 meters, so I want to say they were about the same size. If I'm not mistaken, it's been a hot minute since I watched the series to remember fully. But I think, in terms of detailing, I think we're about there now. Because the arms and legs and the hands, I wasn't going to mess with really. So that should be the rest of it. I do declare. So, outside of testing some sections to see if it's making sure joints are working correctly, I should be pretty much done with the epoxy puttying portion of this. The rest of it is just going to be painting. So while we're here, stick the legs up here so they dry and I don't have to worry about those. We got you here. The heck do I gotta chop off you? We'll chop this stuff off and then I'll get off. Oh, this is Naranga. What's the other one? Naranga. I don't. Oh, is it Gabora? Yeah, Gabora. That's who we're doing. Okay, so I gotta chop off the horn and the ears. Yeah, I was trying to remember like the actual name for him. Oh, so I got my knife. Not the best knife, but it'll get the job done. So like I said, we're removing horns up here, and I gotta try to make it fairly flat and then just match the detailing afterwards. Ugh. Like I said, not the sharpest knife ever. I brought all my blades upstairs to work on the crate. What does the nose look like? Okay, nose is a proper nose, so we need this kind of flat too. It's like I know the base of my knife is still a little sharp. Yeah, if it's Space Godzilla. We're still not 100% on that one yet. Honestly, I would rather see Gigan. Yeah, it's pretty much plastic surgery. That's for sure. So I gotta cut out all semblances of this thing having lifted edges. It would probably help if I would have heated this up before doing this, but we're difficult. And it also doesn't have to be the cleanest looking because I gotta go back to this with epoxy putty anyways. So that works there. Come around the head. I won't be able to sculpt the nose today, but my thought was I could use some of the putty to at least like fill in the gaps. So then it'll dry. And then I can sculpt over top of that. So I'm not trying to fight with this, like having this thing squish all over the place while I'm trying to detail it. Okay, I think that's about good there. Like I said, just gonna take some putty, roughly apply it. Oh, that might be a bad idea. Well, that's gone. We'll chop off his head real quick. All right, heads off. Just kind of like this. Just fill it in, but I want to leave like a little bit of a crevice just when I apply some sculpty, more epoxy putty on it, it's got some place to help rest. Now we need a big old chunk for the nose. Like that. Probably add just a little bit more around the edge on the inside here, just to kind of connect them a little bit. All right. We're gonna call it good here, because, like I said, Casey's being a little terror upstairs, and it seems like Jessica's having some problems. So, anyways, you can help us defeat those kaijus by hitting the like button, subscribe, become a ranger today. We also got a Instagram, Patreon, TikTok, and Facebook. Guys, keep up the video channel. Donate, greatly would appreciate it. If you'd like to pick up some high Godzillas for yourself, the link in the description for Calcus Toys. You can save 6% off your order. Code Steve Calcus at checkout. I'll see you guys in the next one. Play this all. It's pretty close. We'll have to